give me half the money you were going to bet. And we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Rubes! So many rubes! Rubes! Please, no rubes! Oh! I always love that one.
It's a covenant cleanup.
Yeah, but...
What's going on there? Happy Thursday. It's beautiful. This is 9 to noon. Paul Allen, Brett Blakemore by my side.
Let's play hockey!
To begin festivities, indeed, joining us is John Hynes, head coach of the Minnesota Wild. Just completed his second full season as head coach. This will be our season-closing interview. John, it's Paul Allen. First, thank you for everything all season. We and fans appreciate you always taking time for us.
Thanks, PA. It's always a pleasure to come on with you, and throughout the year, it's always good talks, and always happy to do it.
Right on, brother. Any cool vacations coming up? I can't imagine the grind you just exited. Anything cool on the horizon?
Not yet. We'll maybe plan some stuff in maybe July when things quiet down. It's nice now because you're not in the grind, but you still got a lot of the postseason stuff you're trying to dig through, and all the player exit meetings, staff exit meetings, taking some of the things you want to take out of the playoffs, moving forward, things you want to take out of the regular season, and a couple meetings next week with management, with pro scouts and things like that. So it's a little bit less, but you're still kind of doing some things, but then it usually shuts her down a little bit more and later after late June.
Hey, Coach, with a season autopsy, whether it's postseason or regular season, and it's in progress, what are some things you look for? Like, what's the process?
Well, particularly with the, I like to keep things throughout the season, where things come up, just a little bit of a log through the season, that things that, you want to readdress, or you looking, if something's not going to go this year, just ideas for next year and in the future. And, that's one of them. Then you go through all the meetings with the players, and you take notes on those, and then you go through those, and you get some themes of what guys said, and, what they're feeling, whether it's individually or as a team or whatever it might be. And then you do the same thing with the staff, and then you kind of sit back and go through all those and organize them. And, it's a lot of information, but it's important information.
Will you watch much or any of Colorado and Vegas? Vegas beat Colorado last night.
Yeah, I watched the game. It's not easy to watch them, but it is intriguing just to see what's going on moving forward. It was a little bit tougher, I'd say, last week when we were first down. I didn't really watch much, but yeah, kind of coming around, and I did watch last night. I'll watch tonight too, and see how the teams perform. So what'd you see with Vegas with Cale Makar down? Like, watching it not only as a coach but kind of a hockey fan. What'd you see? Yeah, I thought that Colorado got off to a good start early in the game. I thought Hart played well, and I thought as the game went on, it's a different dynamic without Makar. But I thought Vegas, kind of took that. I thought Colorado started to turn some pucks over, and that I think led to Vegas getting a little bit of momentum in the game, and got some opportunistic goals. So I think that it was a competitive game, but I felt that midway through the game, Vegas started to kind of get momentum and took the game over a little bit. And then later, obviously, Colorado made a big push again and tried to tie it up. So we'll see how it goes moving forward. But, the Makars, they got a deep team, but when you lose a guy of that caliber, it certainly affects, I think, what they would like to do. So John, with you guys in Colorado, at the end of the equation, being down Brodin and Eriksson Ek, truly, was it a long shot winning the series with Colorado, not having those two? No, I mean, I feel like we had. I think you have to win with the guys that are in your lineup, and that's always the mindset. And I felt like, there were certain times in the series, even though we didn't have Eki and Brodin, that, I think if we did some things better, we would have given ourselves a better chance to win. So I don't look at it as an excuse that those guys are out. I felt like we still had an opportunity to win more games than we did and push the series and give ourselves an opportunity to win it. And that's what we're going through now, and that's why it's so hard.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, nice enough to join 9 to noon on this beautiful Thursday.
Little puck talk.
The other series on the eastern side. What about Montreal and Carolina? You said you'll watch that tonight, but like those two teams, what intrigues you?
Yeah, well, geez, I haven't seen Carolina. They haven't played in like 2 weeks, so it's been a while for them. But I mean, Montreal, they're young, they're exciting. They play at a high pace. I think you look at all the series that they've been in. There's been a lot of erratic, high-scoring games, and they're an interesting team to watch. Carolina, I haven't seen much of in the playoffs because we were still playing and they haven't played in a while. So I think it'll be interesting. That's why I'm looking forward to watching that one too, because I've seen Montreal as of late, but I haven't seen Carolina. So we'll see what takes place tonight.
Well, with Carolina, John, maybe paint with a broad brush here. How do the Hurricanes always stay good? I mean, they've made the playoffs 8 consecutive years, and the conference finals 4 of them. Does playing in the Eastern Conference have much to do with that, or is there much more?
No, I mean, I think they've been very consistent. I think they've done a good job of, they play a certain style of game that they've played since Brindamore's been there, and I think that the players, the core players that they have, are very familiar with it. They execute it. They buy into it, and then I think they've done a good job of surrounding those guys, whether it be trade or drafting or free agents, whatever it might be, of guys that can come in and they're tailor-made to play that way. So. I think when you do that, you just build momentum, you build consistency. There's a belief in what you're doing, and it gives them a chance to be highly competitive every year.
With the core around which to build, what you just mentioned, Sebastian Aho would probably be the veteran of that group. So with you guys, with Kaprizov and Boldy and Hughes and Faber, do you and more, of course, but let's just hone in on those 4. Do you see that with you guys moving forward, playoffs year after year, advancing hopefully year after year because the core is so good?
Yeah, that's the goal. And I think when you look at, I think you said 8 consecutive years, and say Aho's the driver of Carolina in that core, among others. That's 8 years of being together, 8 years of. Yeah, 4 of them getting to the conference final, but I think 2 of them, there was a bunch of years they couldn't get out of the second round, right? And now their challenge is to get out of that Eastern Conference final to get to the Stanley Cup final. But when you have a core, and we have an excellent group of those guys here in Minnesota, but they've all been together. A couple of them are younger than others, but they're right in that sweet spot. And now it's last year was one. This year was another one. We didn't get to the ultimate goal. We did get to the second round. Now we got to figure out, okay, what's the lessons out of that to continue to move forward? And, it takes time, but it takes effort. It takes really good players. It takes a good organization. It takes the guys to go through some heartbreak and understand how hard it is and what the game needs to look like as you continue to move forward. And I think that's what's exciting about our group is we have a core group of guys that are just coming into their prime and they're elite players. And now it's going through the grind.
Yep. Sorry about that. Off that, with you guys, Bill Guerin said the other day, quote, "The pain is there, but we'll get better because of it," end quote. How does one improve off said pain?
Well, when you go through it, it can't just be you're miserable. You have to. Like, everyone's down. Like, everyone is disappointed, and no one's more disappointed than we are. But now it's what are we going to take out of it? What are the real things we're going to take out of the pain? Why did we not get through? What were the good things? What were the things we need to improve on collectively, individually? And then you got to act upon it. Then action is everything. What do we need to do to get better from the pain that we're going through now? And then there needs to be action taken.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, 9 to noon. Good morning. Michael McCarron. Michael McCarron is a free agent. How did he help when you guys acquired him at the deadline?
Well, he brought what we felt that we needed. He was a big right shot center, highly competitive, good on faceoffs, penalty kill guy. Can play can play your third line spot, can play in the fourth line spot. If needed, can play some wing, but ultimately down the middle, he's a stronger centerman because of his skill set. And, he's a highly competitive guy, brings emotion to the team, emotion to the game. And, he has the ability to, he also has the ability to produce as a depth player. And that's what he did for us.
Sounds like somebody you absolutely want back, right?
Yes, sir.
After Game 4 of the Colorado series, you said something along the lines, John, of that the guys made a conscious effort to play away, not conducive to winning. When that's happening, what are some routes to in-game fixing?
Well, sometimes it's a multitude of things. It's recognizing it, letting them know it, see if they're recognizing it. And I don't mean by recognize it, but okay, this isn't, we know we need to do something different in these situations, right? That's the first one. The second one, it might be, playing some guys that are doing it right and not playing some guys that aren't doing it the way it needs to be done really well. It could be sitting a guy for a shift or two. It could be changing the dynamic of a line or a D pair. Those are all things that you do from a coaching perspective. Then I think internally within the team, it's, guys holding each other accountable too, to when it's not going right or we're not doing the right things, that it's not continuing to go on. So I think it's a combination of things.
Right. And with that particular game, because when you said that after the game, I was like, whoa, holy cow. And you were being very poignant, obviously in vein opening, but can consistently playing that way, let's say consistently the wrong way, can it become masked when the game is close or tied and thus making the situation more difficult? Know what I mean?
Yeah, it does, because, sometimes you might not be, and it's not really biting you that bad because, like you said, it might be a 1-goal game. Sometimes you might even have a lead. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you might be coming from behind. But yes, I do think that there's times where it's not as evident because of the score, but that's why a lot of times you hear coaches or us say all the time, like, there's a process to it. Is this process going to give us the best chance to win this game or night in and night out or over the course of a season? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it isn't, but you get away with it. And that's why you do as coaches, try to make sure that you're looking at that. And when we say that all the time, that's what we mean.
It reminds me of what you said about the Carolina Hurricanes and making the postseason 8 consecutive years, 4 times to the conference finals, where, it may not be the most personally satisfying style at times for players, and it may not be the highest scoring. And of course, they have a good goaltender in Anderson, who's been the best of all of them in the postseason, in my opinion. But systematically speaking, the way you describe Carolina kind of sounds to me what you're seeking here. Is that fair?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the exact same style of Carolina. There are differences to it, but I think it's what, we know, and I think you would know as a sports person in Minnesota, that when the Minnesota Wild play their best, and, we had a 104-point season and had won a first round of the playoffs and saw how we played against Dallas. There is a style that is very conducive to our group, right? That we play. The challenge and the lesson out of this is the willingness and the commitment to do it again and again and again and again, not veer off it. Sometimes you might get rewarded for it. Sometimes you might not. But there is a way that we play that's very conducive to our group to winning. And you see the level of commitment you need to have to that, particularly in the playoffs, to continue to move forward.
Coach, do you think moving forward, not only this year, but the next handful of years, do you guys need to get younger on the blue line?
Well, I mean, those are things that we're looking at. I think that if you look at our D-core, it's a very good D-core. And I think that our guys that, we do have some older guys on that unit, but they are still very effective. Like they're good skaters. They take care of themselves. They got great hockey sense. I think it's, you're always evaluating your team, but I wouldn't necessarily say you have to get younger. I think we have to be more consistent with the guys we have.
Right. Just a couple to close here for Wild head coach John Hynes. It's 9:16. Good morning. Danila Yurov. What are Yurov's off-season instructions to come back as, let's say, somebody you trust every single game?
Yeah, the big things that Danila can control now is his training. He's got to get stronger, a little bit more powerful, early in the summer. And then I think as the summer continues to move on, then he's got to build up some strength early, like now, over the next couple months. And then you got to take that strength and then you have to start to train it to power, where it's explosive and it's quick. And I think that will certainly help him. And then the other things is his core strength, his arm strength. I think that will help him in face-offs, and then studying some things over the summer on face-offs, techniques, and working with guys on that. That's the big things that he can control. I think if he does those two things, he's going to come back a bigger, stronger player. And that's a big thing, for him. I think he's very smart, knows how to play the game. He's a competitive kid. It's just now getting bigger, stronger, more experienced, and we got to continue to work with him on the face-offs.
So with the general manager, if Billy goes looking for, say, a centerman or other free agents or trades, how involved in that are you?
I'm involved. I mean, Billy and I talk a lot, or his management staff or the pro scouts. For example, they're going to have some meetings next week, and I'll come in for a day and spend some time with them and listen to what they're saying, give them my feedback on our team, what the coaching staff feels we need. So it's a very collaborative effort. And then, at the end of the day, when Billy kind of comes down to the short strokes, he and I'll talk and then he'll make the decision or he'll make a move if he can. So, it's a good process. It's collaborative. And I think, he does a good job of feeling what he feels needs, but he gets opinions from the coach, from the scouting guys, from his assistant general managers. He gets a wealth of that feedback, and then he makes the decision.
Last one here.
Little puck talk.
For Coach Hynes. It involves leadership. And I read this a couple of days ago about players and being good leaders. Henrik Lundqvist was talking about Matt Sundin and what he saw during the 2006 gold medal run for the Swedes. And he was like, Sundin was the ultimate leader. It just always felt like he knew when to speak and what to say. And that definitely helped during pressure situations. When he walked into the room, we could feel it. When he spoke, everybody listened. There was just so much respect for him. Do you have a player or players like that? And from what you've seen from your head coaching stops, how important is it to have a bona fide leader the way Sundin just was described?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have a lot of, we have a lot of guys with good experience, but they're really good people, and guys have had different experiences. I would say on this team, there's a few guys. Some of the guys are older guys. Some of the guys are younger guys. But they do have a certain amount of swagger. They do have you don't talk all the time just to talk. You talk when something needs to be said, and, it needs to be the right things that are going to be said. And, it's really important, because the players spend so much time together. You know, they're in the locker room. You know, they're with each other. They're the guys out on the ice doing it. They're the guys that are supporting each other. You know, they need leadership from the coach and the coaches. They need to plan. They need to be prepared. They need to be held accountable. They need to be pushed. They need to be, you know, settle them down a little bit at the right times. But when you do have players in the room and you do have guys that are leaders, it certainly is vitally important to winning.
That was excellent, and I thank you for the elongated time. John, may God bless you and your family, and I look forward to our next chat. I don't know, maybe at the State Fair or something like that, okay?
All right, sounds good, PA.
Yep.
Talk to you soon.
See you, John. Have a good summer. Bye-bye.
See ya.
That's John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild. Joining us to start the 9 to noon presentation on Thursday. Brett Blakemore filling in for Nordo today. We'll have some talkbacks coming up around the corner over the next couple of segments. And that opener, the opening segment with Wild head coach John Hynes, was our Steve's Appliances marathon segment. Steve's Appliances has a Memorial Day sale right now. Of course, fast delivery, free recycling, guaranteed low prices still in play. But if you're looking for kitchen packages or laundry packages right now, absolutely is the time to get involved at stevesappliances.com because they'll save you money with this Memorial Day sale. Steve's Appliances, thank you very much for the marathon segments. Each and every weekday, 9 to noon, stevesappliances.com. Nacho Leader is coming up, Nacho Libre, that is coming up on The Leader a little later in the radio show. Likewise for KG, Kevin Gorg, beloved Gorgomatic, in studio at 11 o'clock. That's part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list that starts each and every 9 to noon. It's 9:23. Here comes Double B with that cash thing courtesy of 9 to noon. And good morning.
And good morning. The Fan and BigDeck.com will give you a shot to win bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is coin. The keyword coin. KFAN.com. Keyword coin. Bonus Bucks is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. It's every hour from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Enter keywords to learn more. Head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by BigDeck.com.
I really warmed up to the talkback portion of the equation that makes up 9 to noon during the Wolves and Wild postseason runs. Granted, truncated as they were. But 9 to noon ran a lot of talkbacks, and you know we would get the opinions and the takes and talkers and tedium and or tribulation or happiness from people after wins and losses. Really enjoyed it, specifically during those postseason runs. So it thinking about setting up some talkbacks for today or potentially for tomorrow, and good morning. When I was writing this out, I was kind of like, wow, because like most fans, media members, stuff like that, who cover the series, 9 to noon would do it low key from X, high key from the broadcasting portion of the equation with the radio show at KFAN. It hit me just what a whirlwind the whole thing was. It's just a whirlwind. Like Double B, you're a big time Wild fan. So they get bounced the way they do after game number 4, and I thought John was pretty open when I asked him, because when they won game 3 the way they did, it just looked so good, and then game 4, okay, it's tightly contested all the way up to like 10 minutes to go, then the thing falls apart, and then after the game, you just get something from a head coach you don't get frequently, where he was like paraphrasing. We made a conscious effort to play the wrong way. I mean, we players consciously did not do what was needed to do to beat those guys. Well, I mean, I spent like an hour on that thing the next day because you just don't see it too often. So then you go out to Colorado, whole thing's over. Timberwolves, their season ends unceremoniously to the San Antonio Spurs. Head coach Chris Finch should be in studio within the next couple of weeks to do that season autopsy. But like when it was over, the Wild either being your favorite team or one of your 2 favorite teams, All right, it sucks. You're mad. Jump on X, jump on the radio, just lament with hockey-loving friends. But then poof, is it like gone, or does it linger with you?
To me, it lingers to the extent that, like, last night, for instance, I'm catching up with Vegas, Colorado. Yeah. Do you think I'm watching that stride for stride, pass for pass? No, because I wanted to be there, or at least go to a game 7. So, and it's the same way in the NFL. Like, once my squad is done, it's hard for me to get reinvested back in the rest of the playoff. So it does linger. It's annoying. There is some excitement of what they could possibly do and possibly trade, but you don't really start to feel that probably until things all said and done entirely before you can start to feel that.
And here with 9 to noon, or for local sports fans, like with the basketball side of the equation, Jaden McDaniels petrifies the Nuggets into a series loss. Then hockey, our Wild finally win a playoff series. Then they both are booted from the playoffs in quite unceremonial fashion. So here, if Talkbacks, if you're interested in Talkbacks for maybe part of this segment, certainly next segment, maybe later, the free iHeartRadio app, microphone, up to 30 seconds, boom. Does it feel like the Timberwolves and Wild both lost to eventual champions? Now, it's interesting, or from a timing standpoint, which for yours truly, to be quite honest with you, my 2026 timing hasn't been the greatest in the history of timing.
You gotta be paping me!
But the Timberwolves lose to the Spurs, and the Wild lose to the Lynch, and both those teams lose last night. Now, San Antonio beat Oklahoma City quite impressively in Game 1, and I thought San Antonio played quite well last night, too. OKC just elevated things, specifically from an execution standpoint. If you listen to Nathan McKinnon's interview following Avs and Golden Knights, that's all he said. He said it 5 times. We didn't execute. It was there. We didn't execute. It was there. We didn't execute. Do we believe our winter loves, the pro sports teams that we follow so closely during the course of the chilly days, weeks, and months of the cornfields, that we bowed to the eventual champions? Because San Antonio, OKC, for sports snobs, specifically basketball snobs, this is high level. This is high level basketball from a mental standpoint and a physicality standpoint. And also you have a transcendent player in Victor Wembanyama. With Colorado, they're down McCarr. Vegas is down Mark Stone. I didn't watch much of it last night, man, but the Avalanche and Vegas Golden Knights, they have so many veterans in key spots. Like people, I think Nathan McKinnon's 30 or 29 or 30, something like that. I mean, he's been around X amount of years, and it's a fair amount of years, but he still plays in such fast, spry fashion that you think, wow, like he's kind of like Brock Faber's age, something like that, when he's a handful of years older. But those two teams just mesh when Stone plays, like the Eichels and the Stones and the McKinnons and the Landeskog's and the Kadris, and what they get from their veterans to mesh with, I don't know, O'Connor, Malinsky, some of these, like for the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, they have a youthful vigor to them too. And their goalie hasn't been around that long either, but it's just the way that whole thing meshes together. It's synchronicity that it seems, specifically without Eriksson Ek and Brodin, the Minnesota Wild lacked. And it's as a sports snob, it's a treat to watch. I thought Vegas looked really good last night. I didn't watch the whole game though, but I think we may have lost to both of the eventual champions, the Spurs and the Colorado Avalanche. Now, earlier this week with the Wild and the Wolves, I missed post-mortem Monday for these teams with some vocal maintenance days. So with the talkbacks to the free iHeartRadio app, let's start here. Is there anything left on your minds about the way the Wild and the Wolves left the season. This is early week postmortem stuff. This is my first day this week, so I'm just curious to hear what people have to say. With the Wolves and the Wild, were they the undearly departed? I mean, Julius Randle skipped exit interviews with reporters. Okay, I mean, is it mandatory? I don't know. Does everybody do it? Generally speaking, yes. But it's when I read that earlier in the week that Julius Randle skipped exit interviews with reporters, I'm like, that's ominous, right? That's ominous. Is that Julius's way of saying, I'm all done here? You know, it's whether he looks at social media, reads stories, listens to radio shows, watches things on TV, or if he's just feeling it. I just wonder if it was his way of saying, all right, I'm all done here. You know, you everybody may think that you're done with me, but I'm all done here. I don't know. I have no idea. But I thought it was ominous that, you know, the second most important player on the team, specifically when DiVincenzo's out, that he skipped his exit interview with reporters. It kind of bugged me. The Lanch are more beatable than the Spurs. And maybe it's that's hockey thing, where hockey is just more tightly contested and you know, puck luck prevails more than ball luck, than a ball, you know, rolling around the rim, going Don Nelson on it, hitting the top of the backboard and coming back in. But the Lanch are more beatable than the Spurs, in my estimation. McKinnon is elite, but there's nary a defense or offense run that consistently can solve Victor Wembanyama. The league has seen it. The Wolves saw it firsthand. OKC saw it in game one. OKC played out of its skin good last night. I'm not sure Oklahoma City, the champions, can play better. They won by 9. And San Antonio just kept slugging and just kept throwing the haymakers and trying. And props to San Antonio, man, because when you get a game one, well, just think Wolves and Spurs. When you get a game one on the road, or specifically game one, that game two so frequently is a human nature game where it's like, dog, I got mine. Let's go back home, get 2 there. We'll be up 3-1. And generally speaking, you get killed. That was not the case with the Spurs last night. This head coach, Mitch Johnson, does a really, really good job. I wasn't super familiar with him into the season or into the series against the Spurs, but he has those guys squared away. And with Wemby, the transcendent talent, you know, when he gets the attention that he gets, it's not like he's kicking the ball to ham and eggers, man. I mean, De'Aaron Fox hasn't played in the series yet, but that's a first rounder from like 2017. Castle, Vassell, et al. They're Dylan Harper, who got hurt last night. I mean, those are a bunch of high-end first-round picks. So the way, but still, when you go on the road and you beat the champions in game one and you beat them rather convincingly, generally speaking, the second game is just kind of ugly. And I was impressed with the way San Antonio fought last night. But like, why I think the Lanch are more beatable than the Spurs is it's breaking down the dichotomy of what it takes to win in hockey and basketball. It's like consistently solving Victor Wembanyama. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening with the Knicks. I don't see it happening with the Cavs. And I don't see it happening with OKC. I think San Antonio is going to win this series. Now, this team, it's not, we're not 27 Yankees, 85 Bears on this thing. But the Spurs will lose games because people will miss shots and blow defensive assignments like they did last night. But beating those guys 4 of 7 probably isn't happening. So here's the deal. Those are just some leftovers from the postmortems of, let's say, sports team bodies that are now 6 feet under. The main course, beginning now, really through the rest of the year, the main course, even from a talkback standpoint, is the Minnesota Vikings. And some things left on the table from the day after the schedule was released last Friday. And we want you to fill the talkback machine with thoughts on anything that you have left over that may still be eating at you, or you want to get off your proverbial chest with the Wild and the Wolves and the way they were dispatched from the 2026 postseason. From a Minnesota Vikings standpoint, and we're going to do some more talkbacks on this tomorrow with some talkback suggestions anew, but didn't really satisfy this on Friday, and this is my first day here this week. Realistic record prediction with a right to change it during training camp and when we dust this off again. For the Minnesota Vikings, a realistic record prediction, talkbacks please, with the right to change it during training camp when we dust this bad boy off again. And think this one out a little bit. And if you got nothing on it, that's fine. How many games does J.J. McCarthy start and why? For the Minnesota Vikings, how many games does J.J. McCarthy start and why? Free iHeartRadio Talkback. Double B produces. I'm Paul Allen. It's 9:40. Good morning. This is 9 to noon.
It's PA.
Hey, the play clock stopped. Throw the flag,
There we
man.
go. Delay game. Weekdays 9 to noon on the...
If you want to chime into what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows, you can. You can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Just let us know what you have to say by texting that message to 64686. That is 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Nacho Lieber, Ben Lieber, Power Trip, 9 to noon, sideline analyst, vast and ever expanding, KFAN, Minnesota Vikings Audio Network. He'll be in studio about 15 minutes from now. I'm Kyler heavy early with Ben Lieber. We're Kyler heavy early with Ben Lieber, and hopefully you'll listen to that about 15 minutes from now. One question, Double B, I forgot to ask you about 25 minutes ago. Last night, when OKC was using Cason Wallace to check Stephon Castle, what did you think of that?
I always love that one.
I'm sorry.
That was a great move.
Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, they unleashed him on Victor Wembanyama. The casual eye is thinking he's doing a pretty good job. You and I were texting about it last night. But then after the game, SGA was asked by sideline reporter person, what'd you think of Isaiah against, really, the clip legitimately is good. What do you think about Isaiah's defense against Victor? And SGA was kind of like, I didn't think it was that good.
I always love that
No,
one.
you got to find that, drop it
All
in
right.
bets and bits if you are bits and bets if you are so inclined. But what do you think of Hardenstein's defense on Wembanyama?
I always love that one.
Probably caught your team at a pretty good time week one without Micah, didn't we?
I think so. I think it's not worst case scenario, but it's pretty bad. We didn't want that. But the other news is it's probably Kyler's first start in purple, most likely, unless they play in the preseason, which I don't think is out of the question. So there could be a little rust, little trying to figure out the new system.
Why you got to use a descriptor? Why does the adjective with everything you're saying Kyler Murray related have to be little?
I always love that one.
I mean, come on, man. You're passive-aggressively trying to mess up the talkback machine right now, aren't you?
Well, I'm trying to influence something.
Do you know Kyler Murray's all-time record against the Green Bay Packers?
No.
0-2. Hey, kitty, kitty. Hey, kitty, kitty. All right, talkbacks. 3-tiered. Probably not the wisest idea. Include the Vikings into the equation with Wild and Wolves because I think we know which way it's going to dominate. But for the purpose of satisfying the man, talkbacks, free iHeart radio app, up to 30 seconds. Find the baby microphone and do your thing. Also, FIBA, Fairness and Brett Blakemore Act. He's a Green Bay Packers fan. I've said this before. He not only has been accused, but he has been convicted by Covenant Court. Stop! For fixing the Vikings-related talkbacks to only have things that are like negative involving everything. Oh my God. So we respectfully ask via FIBA, Fairness and Blakemore Act, please consider, first, the audience in the state of Minnesota. Secondly, the host. Be fair when you unfurl these talkbacks because you completely are in control of this situation. You hear me? That sound good?
It sounds good. First talkback is, I think the Vikings are going to go to the Super Bowl and go to the big game, and we're going to have a parade down Minneapolis.
Sure. The chances of us hearing a talkback like that with you at the helm,
Box.
box. Okay. Here's the first talkback.
PA? Well, it probably goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't like you.
That's sweet. Thank you. What's the second talkback? Which team and hit play?
Well, as you can imagine, there's a lot of purple, so I'm going to get in the Wild and Wolves talk while we got it.
Hey, PA. Wild, there's no chance we can contend with the Avs, Knights, etc. without a first-line center. We need somebody in front of Eric Sinek. Eric Sinek on the second line is best-case scenario.
Mm-hmm. I'm digging
Randall's
that.
got to go.
Oh.
He is inept on defense and offense. He's too streaky. We can get something for him. Let's do it.
Appreciate you. Julius Randle's defense in the season closer.
Get out of my face with that crazy stuff.
I mean, holy cow, what were we doing there, main man? He just seemed out to lunch. I don't know why. He just seemed out to lunch. He wasn't the factor that he was last year, no doubt about it. And
I've heard Guardsy say several times you can tell within the first 5 minutes of a game if Julius is interested or not in playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've looked at that when I've watched the Wolves, and he's right. You can tell immediately if he's into the game or if he's just going through the motions.
I mean, it's like...
Sorry, KFAN.
But from a Wild standpoint, I'm a Dylan Larkin guy.
Isn't that something?
Always have been. I'm a Dylan Larkin guy, and I know he's of the veteran variety.
Isn't that something?
But I don't know why Detroit would want to part with Dylan Larkin, but I think everything's on the table for everybody outside of the Celebrinis, McKinnons, and Porter Martones of the world.
Oh, boy. That was just an ugly one.
I think everything's on the table. I'm a Dylan Larkin guy for a new centerman here. If you can make a deal, what do you think of that? Double B.
I don't hate Dylan Larkin at all. I think he's good. He played a role for Team USA, and he's good on that Detroit team. He's got some wheels, that's for sure.
Team and talkback.
Wolves with a hint of Vikings. Talkback.
What up, PA Double B? 9 to noon, Charles. STP, Capital City.
There he
love
is.
the show, man. First of all, long-time listener. And, man, the Wolves. Julius Randle. That sucks. I liked him here until he stopped showing up to play ball for the Wolves, man.
Right.
Unbelievable. Make it happen. Kyrie, Giannis, both of them. Let's go.
Right.
On to the Skull Nation. Here we go. J.J. McCarthy not playing this year. Kyler Murray, let's go. 12-5.
Something Charles did really well in that talkback, he mastered the table slam, which is a key part of being on the radio, is being able to slam the table
at the right time.
Exactly.
Oh, my.
I don't know. I don't know Charles. I know he's from the capital city. Big part of the talkbacks during the Wolves and Wild postseason runs. For that, we thank you. I think I'm going to nickname him the Captain. The Captain! He's Captain Charles. He's the captain of the talkbacks for the Wild and or the Wolves and maybe the Minnesota Vikings. Talkbacks team and talkback, please.
Vikings.
Hey, boys. Eric from Fancato here. I say J.J. McCarthy starts one game, week 17. We got it all the way wrapped up.
That'd be week 18.
And we're 14-3.
That'd be week 18.
Puffy. There you have it.
Next.
It's all over. They've got it all wrapped up. More Vikings.
Guys, I've got a bad forecast. We're going to lose to the Packers right out of the gate. We got a 6, possibly 7-game losing streak after.
Was a nice run.
Ouch, this hurts coming out of my mouth. 7-11, guys. 7-11.
7-11? Well, we got an 18-game schedule up in this thing? I mean, I didn't realize that you had given the talkback instructions to one of your cousins.
The bit's not working. You know, it's not funny.
All right, let's run down Ben Lieber, chat with him around the corner. It's KFAN.
It's PA.
Remember one thing, football's entertainment. It's not life or death or more.